This morning, ceasefire negotiations between Israel and Hamas seem to have hit a wall. One Israeli official tells CNN there is a growing belief that Hamas is not interested in reaching a deal, and that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is pushing for freeing the remaining hostages by the utter military defeat of Hamas. This comes as global pressure mounts on Israel over the hunger crisis in Gaza and rising domestic pressure to secure the hostages still held there. This is what the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said after new disturbing propaganda videos were released by Hamas showing two captives looking emaciated and weak.
You see them wasting away in a dungeon, but the Hamas monsters surrounding them have thick, fleshy arms. They have everything they need to eat. They are starving them the way the Nazis starved the Jews. And when I see this, I understand exactly what Hamas wants. It doesn't want a deal. It wants to break us through these horrifying videos, through the false propaganda it spreads around the world.
With us now, Admiral James Stavridis, former Supreme Allied Commander of NATO and partner of the Carlyle Group, an international investment firm. Admiral, thanks so much for being with us. So Israel and the United States now, the reporting is pushing for just an all-or-nothing deal. All the hostages, Hamas disarm, or Israel presumably what?
Well, what we see are two things that are true at the same time, John. One is a humanitarian crisis of increasingly ghastly proportion. And frankly, Hamas can match video for video with the pictures of the children in Gaza. That is a true humanitarian crisis. Needs to be alleviated. Responsibility of Israel to figure out how to do that because they are the military power in control of most of Gaza. It is also true that Hamas is a horrific terrorist organization. You're showing visual proof of it right now. And frankly, the Israelis have every right to continue to respond vigorously to the attacks they faced 2 years ago. So where do we go? And I think at this point, Hamas is the problem. Hamas is simply watching the increasing international pressure on the Israelis. And if that continues, Hamas will continue to be a major roadblock to any kind of ceasefire.
We just learned that the chief Mideast negotiator for the United States, Steve Witkoff, who also has Russia and Ukraine in his portfolio, he's been in the Middle East. We understand he could be in Russia as soon as Wednesday. This comes as President Trump has had some of his toughest words for Vladimir Putin lately. One wonders what Witkoff will be able to accomplish there. What are your expectations?
It's all about Putin. And frankly, everything I can see, what Putin is doing, as I've said before, is kind of playing rope-a-dope. He speaks nicely and pleasantly to President Trump, and then he doesn't give an inch. He won't come to the table. He won't negotiate. Recently, of course, he sent his lackey, former president, incredibly, out to talk about the nuclear arsenal of Russia. This led to President Trump talking about our own nuclear capabilities. I think President Trump should send Mr. Witkoff there, stay with the pressure campaign on Putin, and he ought to put secondary sanctions on China and Russia, who buy Russian oil. That's what's keeping Russia afloat, no pun intended. And President Trump ought to continue his policies of now providing significant weapons to the Ukrainian people. And last thing, John, President Trump ought to say to Vladimir Putin, your last chance is 10 days from now. And if you don't come to the table, I'm going to start by taking $300 billion in Russian assets that are in Western banks. It's going straight to the Ukrainians to help them in this fight. We have tools. We have cards to play. I hope the talented Mr. Witkoff, who also has Iran on his plate, let's not forget, can say those words to President Putin in a way that will cause him to get to a negotiating table. That's our president's desire. It's the right path forward.
Yeah, we'll see if he's carrying the carrot or stick when he arrives in Moscow. Admiral James Stavridis, great to see you this morning. Thank you very much.